It's a quick video talking about control. You see, the self that we take ourselves to be is predicated on control. Control of the inner world, control of emotion, control of everything to do with who we are. And ultimately, it turns outwards and seeks control of its environment, and then ultimately, writ large, control of the world. And to a certain extent, that's what we see in the world now, and always have done, because the self is the one that is somehow, it believes itself to be running the show. So, control is everything. Control is what the self is built on. All of its strategies for safety, security, belonging, tribalism are all built on an element of control. It might not be obvious at first, but by and by you get to see how much control we need, we think we need, we want. And of course we overcompensate that. And that's where we sort of draw the line around ourselves and say, no, this is who I am, and this is what I am, and this is what I believe, and this is what I stand for, and this is what I will fight against. And, to the point where, anything could happen, really. Violence, control of others is often all about control. Simple as that. And on the spiritual journey, on the deeper spiritual journey, the journey of spiritual freedom and what we might call awakening, liberation, that control is going to have to be examined and released, because you can't have that underlying or overt need for control and have openness or surrender or freedom or tenderness or kindness at the same time as this element of control. It's just not going to work. They're opposites and they can't coexist. They can't exist together. So something has to give. And what has to give is our need for control. And in many ways, all I'm talking about is the inner world. Let's just focus on the inner world. We believe, we've been led to believe, we're just because of the way that we've been conditioned, that we need to control our inner world. We need to control our feelings, our thoughts and emotions. We need to control the darkness within us. We have to keep it at bay. We have to keep the vulnerability at bay. We have to keep the rage at bay. We have to keep the sensitivity at bay. We have to almost, start a fight with everything that we feel, because we believe somehow that by controlling our inner environment, which gives a sense of a solid self, then we will survive. It's all predicated on a certain survivalism, emotional survivalism, physical survivalism, and existential mental survivalism. But it just doesn't work. And so the question often on the spiritual journey is, can I surrender the need for control? Can you? Can we? Because to the self, surrender is one of the worst things ever. To the self, control is one of the best things ever. But it creates a prison. Control turns into and becomes a prison that we find ourselves struggling to get out of. Only awareness and surrender of that very self can actually lead to a softer, more tender, more open place. But in surrendering the control that we think that we have and that we think that we need, in surrendering that, we fall into something. And it's that falling into something which is where the juice and the learning and the teaching and the knowing and the growing and the maturing really is. But it takes courage. It takes courage to let go and fall, because we have to meet our own vulnerability. We have to meet our fears, and we have to meet our grief, and we have to meet our anger, and we have to allow those, quite strong energies to enter our system. We enter those and they enter us. By and by, we have to feel them fully. And that means feeling fully the past and everything that we've carried in the shadows, and everything that we've carried as a survival, strategic survival mechanism that the self that we've become is predicated on. We have to be prepared to surrender the self that has built itself upon them. There's great vulnerability in that. It's not easy, but it's beautiful, because there's such a freedom in no longer living in that boxed in way where we imagine that we have to control everything, control ourselves. I mean, you see it in relationship. That's why I say all relationships are a great catalyst for inner freedom, whether they're work relationships or intimate relationships or a relationship with a family. If we can start to see them from a deeper vulnerability and a deeper openness, and we start to see where we hold on, where we hang on, where are we tight, where are we controlling ourselves and seemingly other people. And this is a great inquiry, and I would encourage everybody to do it, to look at your life. Where do you want control? What are you trying to control? What do you imagine that control is going to give you that openness won't give you? Are you afraid of vulnerability? Are you afraid of what might come out, or what you might feel, or what you might think? This control, this need for control, this desire for control, does it, feed the idea of survival? And what does that really mean? Is it true? If you surrender control just a little bit more and a little bit more, are you going to survive? Do you mean existentially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, or physically? And investigate those and explore them and see where they're true and where they're not true, and open a little bit more beyond those. Beautiful.